Hey, quick story. So I was sitting at work. This was years ago, and got a phone call, and there was a guy on the other end. He was active duty Marine, and we worked with Marines. And not that that has anything to do with anything. I don't know. But anyway, he called, and whoever he was looking for, they weren't, they weren't in our organization. So, had the wrong number, and we still ended up chatting a little bit. He turned out to be stationed in San Diego, and I was here in the Midwest. And we, talked about the weather, and I mentioned that I used to live in California and how I miss the weather and the traffic, and just a nice, really cool conversation that lasted maybe about 5 minutes. And have you ever met somebody? You might meet them in person or even over the phone. It happens over the phone too. When you hear a voice and then there's like this instant connection, and the conversation is nice and easy and friendly and enjoyable. And it's like, I was sitting there talking to him, and even though he had the wrong number, never should have called us, I was still thinking, hope he calls back, for whatever reason. And I had told my friend about it too, and she went running through the our email server trying to pull his name up, because I had told her what his name was. Extremely unusual name. I refuse to say it. If his name was Mike, I could have said Mike. This guy's name is so unusual. And so she was like, oh, they weren't even on our server or whatever. So I don't know how he ended up calling my number. And I was wishing that he would call back, because I enjoyed talking to him so much. And sure enough, I think it was the next day or 2 days later, he called back. So that meant to me he had sensed the same type of maybe chemistry, or he enjoyed our little conversation just as much as I did, and he wanted to talk to me again too, right? And I had told my friend, I said, before I talk to him again, I'm gonna have to ask him if he's married, because I ain't got time for no foolishness. And sure enough, he called, and I think some kind of way he ended up with my I guess I had to give it to him, email address. And and I don't know if I gave it to him, like on the first phone call, like, trying to help him or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, I had told my friend, I said, I got to find out if he's married. I'm not going to get off into whatever, because that conversation was too nice for me to not ask him, are you married? And sure enough, when he called back, he chatted a little more about, I guess, trying to pretend like he was still looking for who he was looking for. And then he sent me an email, because he wanted, he was interested in getting to know me or whatever. And I said, I got to ask him if he's married. So he sent me the email, and I responded back to the email, and I said, I have to ask you this because I don't want, no problems. And I asked him, are you married? He responded back. Listen, ladies, to what he said. Yes, he said he was married, but he just wanted to, have a female friend, somebody that, him and his wife had been kind of going through a few things, and he thought it would be nice to have a female friend, that he could talk to sometimes, and maybe help him understand his wife. And I responded back to him and said, I think that if you need to understand your wife is the person that you need to be talking to, not another woman. And I said, and I won't be able to do that, because if I had a guy, or if you were my guy, I said, I wouldn't want my man talking to another woman about me. So I won't be able to talk to you anymore. And I just wanted to say, ladies, that's a question you have to ask. You do not assume. Especially when you meet somebody, and I will say, especially when you meet somebody and it's like an instant attraction, because just because a man is married, it doesn't mean that there would not be an attraction if he met you or you met him. It could be that he's married to somebody and he has a hard time having a good conversation with her, and then you meet him in passing, or he calls you with the wrong phone number or something, and it's an instant ability to have giggles, conversation, or whatever. And it could be that he doesn't have that with his wife, right? So the fact that you can meet a guy and it's instant attraction, instant chemistry, instant ease of conversation, it does not mean that you assume that he's not married. He could be married and pissed off at his wife, or he could be married to a difficult woman, or could be married to somebody who they just going through a rough patch, right? Like he was saying to me, like they've been going through some stuff lately, you know, and he just feel like if he had a female friend, she could help him understand his wife. No, that's bull crap. That's player talk. That's some bullshit. That will get you in a situation where you a whole side hoe and trying to figure out what happened. Because men love to, when men are sneaky like that and they have wives and they want to play around, they love to appeal to the side of you that would want to come to his rescue, or to see if you are the kind of woman who would want to be his friend to help him understand his wife. Then he's coming to you telling you everything about his wife, and you giving him all of this advice. And of course it's not working, because his plan is to get in bed with you. His plan is to be able to come to town and lay up with you whenever he wants to. So just another one of those situations where you got to ask questions up front. And I know people will say, well, they still lie, but you kind of know, you'll know if somebody's lying. And even if he lies up front, you'll have enough conversation. You keep talking to him, you will hear that there's a relationship. You'll hear it. You'll hear it in what he says, or you'll hear it in what he doesn't say. You'll hear it in the things that he kind of skips around, and you'll feel it. God gave us that, but a lot of times we ignore that because our emotions are trying to get fired up for something else. So remember, when you meet somebody, especially those ones that instant chemistry, because like if it's not a guy that has instant chemistry with you, you're going to be cautious anyway. Right? You're going to take your time anyway. You checking him out anyway. Mm-hmm. But when there's instant chemistry and there's instant conversation, and the conversation is just easy, and you just enjoy. I think it's just easy. Have y'all had easy? The ease of conversation will make your clothes fall off if you ain't careful. So that's all I'm saying. So when I say I'm trying to, Lord, what can I say to women to help us get out on the front end of these situations that we keep getting stuck in? You got to slow down. We got to slow down. Slow all that emotional stuff down. Stop all that kikiing and all that, grinning and skinning and grinning and sniggling and giggling. Stop all that and listen and ask questions and take the answer. And then listen with your ears, and listen with your common sense, and listen with your good sense and your brain, and listen with the Holy Ghost, and listen with your mama's ears, and let yourself, stay out of situations like that, because this stuff hurts when we get into it, don't it? This shit hurt. So yeah, but let's be more proactive on the front end so that we won't be getting busted up in the heart on the back end. Hope this helps.